Today's session is Take Document Layout to the Next Level. It is my pleasure to introduce our speakers for today, Veronica Carlson, Senior Product Marketing Manager, Ling Wang, Product Line Manager, and Chris Ripchak, Senior Trainer. So without further delay, let's begin. Veronica, it's all yours.
Thank you, Yael. Hello again to many of you, and welcome to those of you who haven't joined our first session on Make Ready. And in this session, we are taking Make Ready or document layout to the next level. This two-part webinar focuses on streamlining Make Ready. And what we said is that there are two ways to prevent inefficiencies in Make Ready. Upstream is one, and we covered that during the last webinar, where we gave you practical solutions about how to educate customers to deliver print-ready files that are optimized for digital printing and delegate color management and layout decisions to the print operator. This is what we covered in part 1, and the recording is available for you today. Downstream is the other way to prevent inefficiencies. Today we are covering what happens after we get a print-ready file. We're going to show you how you can get the best out of the Make Ready tools you may have at your Fiery DFE today in order to identify and troubleshoot file errors, correct them, and simplify job preparation. All this great content will take you to the 4 steps involved in Make Ready, which also defines our agenda today. The first step covers what we should do as soon as we get a file from a customer. We use tools to identify and troubleshoot content issues and avoid surprises at print. Once we know the issues the file has, we'll move forward with correcting and editing the file with tools available at the DFE. Then, once we have all content elements in the pages, we continue with imposition and document assembly. That is to make decisions at a page level, merging pages, assigning media to covers, inserting scanned pages, adding tab separations, and so forth. The last step is to leverage from all the work we did previously and set up the base for automating future jobs. So future jobs can be set up in just a couple clicks. And remember, all these icons, we'll reference them throughout the entire session to help you understand what stage we are in the Make Ready process. But first, we want to know more about you first, and we want to know what tools you use in your Make Ready process today. We are now displaying 3 questions on your screen, and we ask you to share your anonymous responses with us so you can later compare against the audience. Now, the first question is, what tools you use to identify issues with incoming jobs? So here we list some of the pre-applied tools that we see in the market. Select all that apply. If you don't use any, maybe you do a visual inspection or you print a proof for that. Let us know how you do it. The second question is, what tools do you use to do imposition? We list those we know, and let us know which ones you use, or if you don't, just let us know as well. And the third question is, what do you use to assemble and prepare long jobs? So for this, we also list some in-RIP tools or tools that are not integrated with the RIP but are also valid, or maybe you just do a manual assembly after printing. Let us know. So, while you are submitting your answers, let's take a look at information from a survey conducted by InfoTrends in the US. This survey was done 3 years ago, but it is still applicable to us in the US, and results can certainly be extrapolated to markets in Europe and Asia. So, in this survey, InfoTrends asked print providers, where do you mostly perform the following pre-press functions in your workflow? And basically, what printers were saying 3 years ago is that they would prefer those pre-press functions to move to the DFE. So for example, for imposition, almost 30% had in-RIP solutions, but then 34.5% were looking at keeping those functions at the RIP in a 2-year horizon. And the reason for that is that standalone or non-integrated software add more inefficiency in the workflow than anything else. So let's take a look at your responses. Let's display them. Right. Let's take a look at the results of the three responses. And we see here that, let's just analyze question number 2 for the sake of time. We see here if we add up the responses for Fiery, Impose, Free Flow, Prisma, and MicroPress, it is more than actually 50% of the audience saying that they are using in-RIP solutions, which is great. You are in a better shape than the respondents in the survey in 2011. Also, we see, some of you are using tools like Quiet Imposing for imposition, which is great. It's not integrated with the server, or it's not an in-RIP tool. It may not be tightly integrated with the engine's finishing capabilities, or may not allow you to edit imposition after you've done it. But so here's what we are going to cover in this session. We'll showcase in-RIP imposition with Fiery Impose, for example, and which is also PDF-based. So we hope that you can see value in how much farther you can streamline this process. And for that, we have 2 customer orders that try to represent real case scenarios. Each of these orders will take you to each of the steps in the Make Ready process. The first order is a standard stitch booklet with sections and lots of requirements for correction and assembly. The second is about business cards, a more simple challenge, but a great example to show the value of all Make Ready tools in a more simplified workflow. Now Chris Ripka is going to sort through the challenges of order number 1. Chris, take it away.
Thank you, Veronica. So let's start here with our first order, and in this order we see that we have a number of challenges. We want to ensure that we have the highest quality output for our order, so image quality is going to be critical for this order, and we want to identify and make any changes then that we discover before we print this job without having the original native files. After we've made these changes, then we'll complete and assemble the document and get it ready for final customer sign-off using a number of the other tools, including hard copy page insertion, making a booklet, assigning cover stock, renumbering the pages, and then creating a PDF file then to send back to the customer for their final sign-off. When we complete this, then we'll show some automation, and then we'll expand on that automation in our order number 2. All right, so let's go ahead and start with our first. We're going to identify and troubleshoot. We're going to look at making sure that the image quality is maintained. And to do this, we're going to start with a pre-flight check to ensure the highest quality. We're also going to run then a post-flight report to make sure that we understand and identify all the color spaces that are used within the document. And then finally, we'll use Fiery Image Viewer to preview the document and to check for where any low-resolution images or other issues that we potentially may see before we actually produce the document, and then save this as a soft-proof PDF then for our customer approval. So let's start with a pre-flight check before we print the job. Here we have a quick review here. So first step is going to be to bring in the job. We'll drag and drop that into the held queue. We'll right-click on the job, and we'll see the pre-flight tool is found by right-clicking and selecting pre-flight under the pop-up menu. This tool is part of the Graphic Arts Package Premium Edition. The interface then will present us with all the elements that we checked for this job. And here we can see that fonts will be checked, spot colors, image resolution, variable data printing resources, overprints, and hairlines. So we'll run the report, and then in a matter of seconds, we'll see the results that are available. In this case, we're going to come up, the report will show us then that we have 3 critical errors. The first is that there are missing fonts, and it identifies the page number. Page number 1 is where that font is found. We'll see that there are some spot colors that are missing. Again, we see 2 spot colors and the pages that those spot colors are found on. And then we'll also then see, we scroll down here, we can see that there's an image warning. And that's telling us that we have a low resolution image, and it's found again on page 1, which is the cover, and we really don't want that to happen. It may look pixelated when it's printed, so we'll want to identify that and make changes. We also identify a number of overprints that are within the document, but we know that the Fiery servers today process and produce transparencies and overprints correctly. as the designer intended. So this is not really a concern for us, just a reminder to turn on the composite overprint feature in the Fiery driver. After so many warnings, we may want to save this pre-flight report and have a PDF that we can exchange with our customer to help educate them for the next time when they send us this PDF file. We save the name, and then we can open up the PDF file of this pre-flight and send this then to our customer. Again, the same errors that we saw previously are reported in this PDF report. All right, so next, after we run our pre-flight, let's next run a post-flight report, and this tool will help us ensure the highest quality when we print this document by identifying the color spaces used throughout the document. This will help ensure that we apply the correct color settings when we print this job. To do this, we'll begin with, again, opening the job and selecting Job Properties. In the Job Properties area, we'll go to the Job Info area and scroll to the bottom and find the Post-Flight option. This report will now, by choosing these options, we have a number of choices, and we're going to choose all options, all components. This will then give us a comprehensive preview and list of the different elements in the job. We'll process the file here. And now we'll see, and we're going to process this and hold it since we can't see the printed output on our webinar. So we'll open this in Image Viewer. And we're going to start with then the first page, which is the post-flight report. The post-flight report is going to identify the different elements found. So we're going to see that, and this gives us the reference color coded for each job. If we go to page number 2 now, I'm sorry, it'll identify the CMYK objects as cyan, RGB elements as red, and spot colors as yellow. And then on the second page, then we can see all the spot colors that were found on the page, or throughout the document, I'm sorry. Spot colors that were not found in the RIPS color library then are identified with an X through the box. All the other colors then actually have the spot color in the box next to the color name. So let's look at page number 1 now. And here we can see that the cover page has a graphic or an image that is a CMYK element as cyan. This may not be optimal since all the images should be sent to RGB in the source color profile in order to optimize the printer's color gamut. So we may want to report this back to our customer. As we go to subsequent pages, we see that there are RGB and spot color elements being identified as yellow throughout the page. All right, so now we can return. So now we've run our pre-flight report and our post-flight report. Now let's actually do a preview then of the document. We did that before with the image viewer, but now we're going to go back and actually look at the actual file instead of the color-coded pages. So here we'll go back and we'll reprocess the job, and we'll turn off the post-flight report and reprocess the job very quickly. The image viewer is also part of the Graphic Arts Package Premium Edition, and it's one of the most popular tools in this package. Image Viewer is a soft proofing solution that allows you to preview process files in their raster formats and to see exactly how the file is going to output. It's a plugin as part of Command Workstation and has a powerful zoom feature that lets you check on details and a way to edit the colors if necessary and have an immediate preview of how the color edits will affect the output. Here on page 1, we can confirm the missing font that was reported in pre-flight. We can see that the title is obviously not the best font for this example. Then we'll use the pre-flight report. The pre-flight report also reported a low-resolution image on page 1. So we'll zoom in and look for it, and we'll scroll around until we find that this flower image obviously looks pixelated here. It's over here on the right-hand side. And as we zoom in, we can very clearly see that it's pixelated. So we can use a feature called image smoothing then to resolve this. So we'll go back to the original job and right-click and select the properties, and we'll turn on an option called Image Smoothing that's found under the Image tab. So under Image tab, we'll select Image Smoothing, and we'll reprocess and hold this job. Once it's completed processing, we can open it up again in Image Viewer. Now, because we didn't previously close it, we can actually do a side-by-side comparison. So here we're going to open Image Viewer, and we'll expand it. And we'll then go down to the corner, and we can see that the quality now has been improved. It's much smoother. And we'll now do a side-by-side comparison with the original one. And we can see now how the old one was very pixelated and the new one now is smooth. Once we've decided that these improvements are ready, we want to save this as a soft-proof PDF to ensure that the customer then approves this change before. So we'll save this as a PDF file. We could also print this sample, but with the soft-proof PDF file, we can email this directly to the customer much more efficiently. Once the PDF file is exported, we can now go back and add additional comments then to the page to communicate exactly what the issues were that were found when we processed this file. We can save them these changes and then email it directly to our customer. All right, so just a quick summary here of what we just saw. That to ensure the highest quality when we print this document, we used 3 tools. We performed a pre-flight check that identified missing fonts, missing spot colors, and a low-resolution image. We used a post-flight tool to report and identify the color spaces used within each page of the document. We did this so we can ensure the highest quality print and using the correct color settings. And then finally, we used Image Viewer to identify a low-resolution image on the cover and to verify this feature that this was improved using the image smoothing, and then save this out as a soft-proof PDF that was sent then to our customer before production begins. All right, so next, let's look at how do we correct some of these issues that we discovered with our pre-flight, post-flight, and Image Viewer. So we'll come back without having to go back to the original file. So we'll start with some late-stage edits, correcting the missing font, replacing the spot colors with their Pantone equivalents that are installed on the Fiery server. And we can also look at a couple other edits that are available. And then we'll finish up then with an image enhancement where we off screen have identified that one of the images on the last pages really isn't exactly the best image, and we have a tool that then can help us resolve that. So let's start then with using late-stage edits that we identified with our pre-flight. So to allow a user to fix issues identified with the pre-flight, Fiery Impose, JobMaster, and Compose includes a single license of Adobe Acrobat and InFocus PitStop Edit. Here I've already opened the file using JobMaster. By right-clicking on a page in it, I can now select Edit in Adobe Acrobat. This will open up Adobe Acrobat. Here we can see that the font that we identified earlier has actually been replaced. And so we're going to open up InFocus PitStop Edit tools and select and inspect some of the objects. And here we can select that font. And we'll see, in fact, that the font is there, but it is not embedded. What we need to do now is we need to embed this font. So we'll select another font and replace it. We're, in this case, selecting the exact same font. We're selecting Embed. And when we hit Apply here, now the font will respond back in the Inspector tool as now being embedded. This will ensure that when we print the document that it prints correctly. Next, let's select and navigate through, and we can find then one of our missing Pantone or missing spot colors. Here we're identifying the missing Pantone, and then we're going to remap it then with other Pantone colors and replace it with, in fact, the Pantone color that's the equivalent value. We select it and then replace it. We've done this now off stage again for the others. We save this file and then close the document, and the changes then are automatically applied to the JobMaster window, and when we save the JobMaster window, they're resaved. We'll rerun a pre-flight now, and the pre-flight report then will come back and identify that those issues that we previously had with the original file have been identified and resolved. So here we see that no fonts are missing, and the spot colors are no longer identifying any problems. All right, and again, so now once we've made those late-stage edits now, let's take a look at image enhancements. Again, as I said, off stage, we identified that one of the images on the last page was not at the highest quality, and we want to use a feature called Image Enhance Visual Editor then to improve the quality on this. So to use the Image Enhance Visual Editor, we're going to select the job in the held queue, right-click it, and choose Image Enhance Visual Editor. It will quickly process the job and automatically identify and analyze the images on each page. We can preview the images and make adjustments. So we're going to scroll here to the last page. We see that this image here is not the highest quality, and now we can use the automatic adjustments to see what kind of improvements can be made. The operator can also make manual adjustments by simply selecting one of the sliders, and the adjustments that are available are to tone, color, sharpness, and we even have a red eye option to correct red eye. So we'll go back and select our auto and turn on our red eye. And now we can look at the original and do a comparison jumping back to the preview, or we can do a split to do a side-by-side comparison as a before and after. Once we've made these changes, we can save this as a preset to apply it to other documents with similar challenges. Once we've saved the preset now, we can also apply these same settings then to other pages throughout the document, all the pages, or a single page or range of pages. This then gives us a great ability to apply the changes very quickly throughout documents that have these challenges. Once these challenges are made, or these changes are made, we can then do a quick soft proof. We can either print the current page or all pages and then do a final hard copy verification. When we close the document, we'll be asked if we want to save these changes. By selecting yes now, the document is up, the document changes have been saved, and we're ready now to print the document. So in summary, we used Adobe Acrobat and InFocus PitStop Edit to make late-stage edits to the document without the need to go back to the native document, saving time and production processes. We also used Image Enhanced Visual Editor to make an adjustment to one image in the document. We saw how to repeat the adjustments using the preset and apply them to other pages throughout the current document. We also saw how to save the changes from both InFocus PitStop and Acrobat, as well as Image Enhanced Visual Editor, without having to re-import the document after the changes were made. These steps can be found on a how-to guide called Enhance Image Quality of Pictures, and this will be sent in a link in the follow-up email. So next, Ling will show us then how to complete the document assembly before printing the final job.
Well, thank you, Chris. So let's now move on to the imposition and assembly part of this customer order. The remaining challenges are the need to incorporate hard copy pages and inserts, the need for sections in the booklet. Because this is a catalog and the customer really wants a booklet rather than a binder, we think a saddle stitch booklet with bleed edge tabs is the best way to finish this 80-page document. Because, you know, with just one face trim, bleed edge tab booklets look really polished and can retain its attractiveness even after repetitive use. And, you know, unlike regular tab stocks where the tab ears stick out, the tabs for bleed edge tabs are part of the pages. So, you know, you can flip them for many times and the tab ears will remain really well intact. Okay, the next challenge is heavy cover stock, and also pages need to be renumbered. And also the customer requested to sign up the job before we start production. To resolve those challenges, we identified 5 steps for our pre-press process. 1, create a booklet with scanned pages. 2, adjust page margins to accommodate the bleed edge tab creation. And 3, add new page numbers. 4, create bleed edge tabs. And 5, create soft proof. And the first part of this job assembly is to scan in the hard copy pages and then impose all the pages into a saddle stitch booklet. And we will also look at how we may automate the booklet imposition for future jobs. And here I right-click the file in the hold queue to open this file using Fiery Job Master. So let me pause here to kind of orient you in this application, just in case this is the first time that you're seeing Fiery Job Master. If you are familiar with Fiery Impose or Compose, you probably noticed that this is really the same interface as those two applications. We designed this interface this way to minimize the learning curve for you. Another benefit of having the same interface is that you can move between these applications pretty seamlessly. And this becomes very important for this type of booklet assembly where imposition is really part of the assembly. And there are 3 panels in this application. Left page view is for viewing and editing at page level, and the sheet view is in the middle. It comes in really handy for previewing sheet layout after you apply imposition. And on the right-hand side is the document level property settings. And now we're ready to insert scan pages using Fiery Remote Scan. So in your print shop, you can hook up Fiery Remote Scan with any Twing scanner you have available. For this demo, I have already scanned in the file and stored it in my mailbox. So I'm opening the file from the mailbox, and so using the scan preview and edit window, we can here apply the skew or the speckle to the pages and also make certain image edits on the pages. And for these 2 pages, I needed to skew and apply the same change to page 2. And I can also use the page setting to ensure that the size is consistent with the rest of the document. So I'm going to import these 2 pages. And I have the flexibility of drag and drop them into the right place into this document. Right here we're going to make them page 3 and 4. Now I'm ready to create a saddle stitch booklet. I can use an out-of-box template called 2-up saddle. And here landscape and duplex layout are applied automatically by the template. And I make the sheet adjustment to the large sheets I have here, 11 by 17. And next, I need to define the covers requested by the customer. I select the hardcover media and also tell the application to put the front cover on the outside and use both front and back of the last sheet for back cover. And notice here on the sheet view, application is smart enough to insert a blank page after the front cover to achieve the correct layout. And here we can also see the benefit of having a make-ready application that is very well integrated with the engine. Because Engine's paper catalog is available in Fiery JotMaster, Impose, and Compose, you can easily define media on the per page or chapter basis, therefore improving the media assignment across entire production workflow. So now my booklet setup is done. I would like to reuse these settings for future customer saddle stitch book orders. So I have these settings in new template, so I can save these settings in the new template. And besides the media assignments, all imposition settings are saved and ready for reuse. So in addition to using Fiery Impose template within the application UI, as we see in this demo, we also have the options of using them with hot folder or virtual printers or presets. We do have another webinar coming up on October 22nd called Automating Job Submission, 5 Ways to Increase Your Efficiency. And there my colleague will go into a lot more details on various automation workflows. So do come back to explore more ways to automate your job preparation and production. So for this part of the presentation, if you want to familiarize yourself more with available tools and functions offered by Fiery Impose, Compose, and JotMaster, here are really good 2 step-by-step how-to guides for your reference. They are print a booklet, to prepare complex documents to print with Fiery JotMaster. So the second part of this job assembly is to make sure the two scan pages have the right amount of margins when we are ready to add bleed edge tabs. So we first insert bleed edge tab from page 2 to 6 to just do a simulation of what that's going to look like, and we'll use the preview to see whether margins need any adjustments. So we flip through these pages and we can see that page 3 and 4 here need some adjustment. I think specifically the page 2 margin needs to shift to the right, and on page 3 margin needs to shift to the left. So let me cancel out this bleed edge tab and make those adjustments. And so let's pause here. So let me just explain how this works. So because tab on page 2 and page 3, they're really on the opposite side. So their margin adjustment need to be done separately. So if you have a document, for example, where you need to shift margin for multiple pages to accommodate, say, a spiral binding finish, like we saw in our last webinar, you can multi-select say all even pages to shift the margin uniformly to one side, and then select the odd pages to shift the margin uniformly to the other side. So then here for page 2, I have opened the edit page and I'm going to use the size and offset mode to shift the trim box. And by changing the left margin just as negative 0.2 inch, I effectively move the content to the right by 0.2 inch. So next I will use the edit page to shift the content on page 3 to the left by 0.2 inch. And as you see, the same settings are applied. And to verify if the right margin is freed up for bleed edge tab, I can insert the bleed tab again for those pages and flip through as we did earlier to just see the preview. Two and 3 and yeah. So right here, I think the right amount of margin adjustment is put in, and both scan pages really look very consistently with the rest of the pages. So then this document will have a much more consistent look and feel. So before I can create the bleed edge tab for this job, in this next step, I want to make sure that all pages in this booklet have the correct page numbering. This is needed because we just inserted the 2 scan pages, and now the page numbers are no longer in the right sequence. So to do that, I first need to mask out the existing page numbers, and I can do this by selecting all the pages and use the mask function. And using preview, we can see that scan pages do not have page numbers. So this is the original page, page 1. And when we go to page 2, 3, and 4, yeah, the page numbers are not there. So now let me mask out the page number on page 1 here. So by masking out this little area, it actually masks the same area on all my pages in this stack of documents. And then I can preview the results, and everything looks good. And next, I will use the edit numbering function to add new page numbers for my selected pages. So Fire Job Master offers a variety of macros for you to fit the stamping or paging needs. And the text box here is also editable. And so I'm just going to make sure the font size is good. And also name it page blah as what my customer specified. And place that page number in the center of the bottom of the sheet, like the original document has, and going through a preview to make sure they look consistent across pages, and everything looks good. And now I'm good with the new page numbers and ready for the next step. So finally, we are ready to do the last part of this job assembly, adding bleed edge tabs. So to start with the bleed edge tab creation, I will open the Edit Bleed Edge tab under Actions and put in the sections that I want to have for them. And here I can do a very quick preview to see how tabs will be laid out in the booklet. And now I'm ready to put in the text for the first section with proper font. And I can also use, let's see, let's finish the fonts. And then I can also add image to the tab section. Here I have these images already from the designer, and the visual preview can help me stretch that image to the right size. Everything looks good. And to help me expedite the rest of my section setup with bleed edge tabs, I can use this apply all function to so I don't have to set all the fonts and also ensure the consistent look and feel for the rest of them. So let me kind of fast forward to the rest of the steps because they are kind of repetitive. And with bleed edge tab set up, I will do a final preview of these pages section by section to see the final result. Everything looks good, and that wraps up my tab creation. So we have two step-by-step guides for this part, the job assembly, bleed edge tabs and multi-bank tabs. The first one covers bleed edge tab setup I just demoed. So if a job requires a single bank of tabs, you have the option of bleed edge tabs or regular tabs. But if a job such as like a training manual requires multiple banks of tabs in a document, you can use JobMaster to create chapters and sub-chapters kind of structure in a document with regular tab stocks. So the second how-to guide will walk you through that process. And now with all the assembly completed for this job is ready for approval and printing. And this customer order has requested for a soft proof before production. So let me save the job as a PDF file before so that we can send it to the customer electronically for review and approval. And to do this, I just save it as a flattened PDF file and give it a name, proof. Yep. Okay. So as best practice, we also want to save this file as a DBP file. And this is the file format that can keep all the assemblies, such as page numbers and tabs that I have added to this job as sort of layers. So next time, if the customer comes back to ask for more changes, I can do that very easily. Very good. Now it's merging all the elements into that file. So to summarize, use PDF for soft proof and use the .dbp file for edits. And that wraps up our order number 1. And here's a list of how-to guides we covered. You will receive a copy of this PowerPoint deck after the webinar, and you can download all these guides with these hyperlinks. So now let's look at our next customer order, business cards. Business card order is a type of gang-up order you probably do on a regular basis. And besides the high image quality requirement like we saw in the previous order, the only wrinkle here is that the customer wants to change the text on the card after the order is put in. So in this demo, I'd like to show you, one, how you can make this last-minute change without going back to the customer, and two, if you do run into this type of job frequent enough, how you may automate for future jobs. And in terms of pre-press steps, we will go over one, pre-flight check, late stage edit, gang up imposition, set up for future automation. As we learned earlier in this presentation, a good practice is to apply pre-flight to all incoming print-ready PDFs. And pre-flight is a very quick process, very quick. Let's run the pre-flight on this file, and when the report is ready, looks like everything passed. Wonderful. So we can move on. So for the sake of time, we will skip the post-flight and continue on to the next step. And here is the how-to reference if you want to walk through this identify and troubleshoot step on your own in detail. And at this point, the customer called and told us that the job title on the business card needs an update since the person just transferred to customer service. Well, the scenario we have here is that we got the change before we impose the job, and you can certainly make edits even after imposition is done. The sequence does not matter because changes are done with Fiery Impose using Adobe Acrobat and InFocus PistStop. Because these software are provided with Fiery Impose, Compose, and JobMaster, and there's special integration built in, so changes made in Acrobat and PistStop can be saved directly to the file you're working on in Fiery Impose, Compose, and JobMaster. So let me show you how. So we open the business card file with Fiery Impose, and we can go to Edit in Acrobat, and Acrobat will then open, and then I can use the PistStop tool available to modify the text and reposition it. And here we can save the changes, and then you see the changes reflected directly in Fiery Impose. So we showed you a sample of the type of PDF edits you can do using InFocus PistStop. And in case you're interested to explore more capabilities PistStop has to offer, we have the link here for the PistStop training videos as a reference. Now, we're ready to move on to imposing this job. In this step, because I want to use a Duplo cutter in my shop to finish this job, I will leverage the Duplo integration available in Fiery Impose when creating my imposition layout. So here we will create gang up repeat layout with my largest sheet size available, and then turn on duplex. And we also want to maximize the paper usage with this 4x4 portrait layout. Yeah. Next, I want to add in the 0.125 inch bleed to extend the printed area beyond the edge of the finish size to accommodate offline cutting. And we will also put in the 0.125 inch gutters for in this layout to give more margin for finishing. And finally, we want to add in trim marks. And also, we want to take advantage of Duplo cutter integration by putting in the Duplo barcode and registration marks on the sheet surface. Okay, and then a quick visual check shows that the layout has all the marks in place ready for production. So we went through this imposition setup pretty quickly. If you want to revisit these steps or explore how to impose variable data files, here are the how-to references. Impose business cards, impose VDP jobs. And finally, as part of the best practice, we want to think about minimizing touch on repetitive work. And this is where we can take advantage of the Fiery Impose and its associated workflows to reuse imposition layouts and automate future jobs. This type of practice will not only reduce transfer errors, but also give us better return on the imposition setup. So in this next demo, I will show you how to use the same imposition layout when a new business card order arrives. So first, before I close out on the business card layout, I will save this all the settings in a new template called FGS Business Cards. And then I can save this job for printing. So while we're here on Command Workstation, let me process and hold the job to get a raster preview. And using the preview tool under Job Summary, you see here, we can verify the imposition as well as all the marks are processed correctly and ready for printing. Next, we're going to set up our automated workflow by creating a server preset. And we can call it the FGS Biz Cards. So server presets are a great way to deploy workflow throughout the print facility. And as part of the preset, I can specify various job properties such as media, color, and also attach our imposition template there as right here. So now it's time for a new business card order. Here I go back to Job Center and see my order and right-click on it to apply workflow using that server preset. When the file is ripped, all the settings from the preset are automatically applied. Again, using the raster preview, we can see the file is correctly imposed based on the imposed template. And this is such an easy and fast process, saving me many clicks and minimizing errors and time. So here are some more product examples that you can automate in your shop. Booklets, brochures, business cards, and postcards. So with or without personalized data, all can be easily set up and processed by Fiery Automated Workflow. As I mentioned earlier, if a workflow automation is a topic of interest for you, I highly recommend you to join us in our next webinar on October 22nd called Automating Job Submission, 5 Ways to Increase Your Efficiency. And here's our last how-to of the day, Automate Job Submission. You can treat it as an overview on automation or a kind of a pre-course exercise if you like for the next webinar. And that wraps up our order number 2. And again, here's a list of how-to guides we covered. You will receive a copy of this PowerPoint after the webinar, and so you can download the guides and practice on your own. So I want to thank everyone in the audience for staying focused as we went through the 4 make-ready stages on these 2 customer orders. We have gone through quite a bit of stuff here, so let me summarize in terms of key takeaways. As always, educate your customers to get print-ready PDF files to minimize delay and corrections at pre-press time. And 2, get to know the tools you have at the RIP and the type of issues you can fix without going back to the customers. And then stay current with your Fiery applications. We at EFI are constantly innovating and incorporating best technologies and best practices into our products so that we can enable you to be successful with your business. And you can certainly take advantage of our effort by getting latest application updates. And finally, leverage in-RIP solutions like Fiery Impose, Compose, and JobMaster and the tools in Command Workstation that we showed you today so that you can streamline your workflow and easily handle last-minute job changes when they do occur. Okay, well, let me hand the presentation back to Veronica so she can walk us through all the great resources and exclusive training efforts for today's webinar.
Thanks, Lynn and Chris. That was great. So let's take a look at the new set of free resources for you. Remember, all these resources will be accessible in the upcoming thank you email. The first is we have the how-to guides we showed you today throughout the demonstrations. These great training tools are a set of step-by-step guides and sample files that will help you get familiar with these features and processes. Second, PODI or PODI published a product briefing for Fiery Job Master and Fiery Impose that you may find interesting if you are evaluating to purchase these options for your Fiery server. So we invite you to hear what a third party has to say about these solutions so you get a different perspective. Third, you can count with the checklist for making good print-ready files that we deliver to you in session number 1. And fourth, we have a set of e-learning courses, a $100 value gift for everyone who registered for the session today. And last, the access to our Fiery forums so you can reach the Fiery community. As I said, here's the e-learning bundle specific to Advanced Make Ready. The courses are Advanced Fiery Imposition and Introduction to Fiery Job Master. We are going to send you the link to access to these bundled trainings in our upcoming thank you email. We have another great webinar, as Lynn mentioned, coming up that is about automation. And here you can learn about job submission automation and more tips and tricks for command workstation.
That will be coming up November 12th.
It is November 12th, the second, the Command Workstation tips and tricks, yes. And that's not all. If you join both of our webinars on Make Ready, you'll get a 10% discount or a $25 value of on the Fiery Professional Certification. And if you are the one, the details on how to use this coupon will be communicated to you right after this webinar. There are other webinars, free webinars from EFI from other products such as Radius, Monarch, and Pace. Here we provide you with the link. And now we'll open the session for questions. Please submit your questions via the chat window and we'll respond them live in a first-come, first-served basis.
Yeah, so we have only a few minutes before we reach our hour limit. We'll give Lynn, Veronica, and Chris a couple of seconds to start looking at some of the questions we've received as we were going through the presentation.
So I see a question here. Do you need Fiery Job Master to do Bleedish Tab, or can you use Fiery Impose Compose software? So Bleedish Tab is a feature unique to offered by Fiery Job Master. But then, as I mentioned earlier, you know, when you are creating a booklet, you also need the imposition functionality. So what you need to have in place is a Fiery Impose and Fiery Job Master. Fiery Compose is similar to kind of Job Master, but I see it as a kind of a lower kind of beginner level because it doesn't have the fancy tabs. It has the basic tab, conversion, and insertion. So if you want the more kind of comprehensive tab functionality, Fiery Job Master is your choice. Okay. And then next question. So you covered Bleedish Tab. Can I insert tab stock in a job and add content to the tab here? So certainly, I think this is where you can use both Fiery Job Master and Fiery Compose to do the kind of converting a page to tab or inserting tab. So let me explain. So the benefit of converting a page to tab, so then you can actually have content printed on the body of the tab in addition to the tab years.
There's another question. Where do I find the how-to documents? We will be sending you the link to the how-to pages. But nowadays, if you go to EFI.com, you can find and go to the Fiery page. There is a section on training. In there, you can find the how-to links. But
so not just the ones we shared with you today, but many more.
Many more.
Many how-tos that you might find interesting.
Another way to go straight to the how-tos is in Command Workstation. In the Help menu, there is an option when you open that menu, and it will take you straight to the set of how-to guides for the code base of your specific Fiery. That's another good way to access.
Okay. So next question, can I insert hard copy pages when my printer does not have a scanner? So, I guess the answer is yes, because Fiery Job Master, the Fiery Remote Scan rather really supports all Twin compliant scanners as a way to directly insert pages. So even if you don't have a scanner as part of the printer, you can have another separate, just buy a small scanner and make sure that it's attached correctly, and then you can scan the pages and convert them to digital version as part of the document.
One of the questions I saw come in was what is required for pre-flight option in Command Workstation, and that is part of the Graphic Arts Package Premium Edition. That is optional on many of the external controllers.
And we also have it, if you don't have it and you're interested in purchasing that directly, you can go to our e-store. You can find it there and make your purchase directly.
Another question is what is required to see Image Enhanced Visual Editor. Practically all external Fiery servers have Image Enhanced Visual Editor as a standard. It is part of the old Graphic Arts Package option, but since Fiery System 10 Graphic Arts Package option is a standard in external servers. So if you're running System 10, FS100 or FS150 code bases, IEVE, what we call IEVE, is standard. For embedded servers, some embedded servers have the option to purchase the Fiery Productivity Package, and Image Enhanced Visual Editor is part of the set of features included in that optional package. Please go to your Fiery vendor to see if your Fiery supports that option if it's an embedded server.
All right. Chris, any other questions you see there?
There was one other question. It was just regarding what is required to get for Acrobat and InFocus PitStop Edit, and those packages are included with the Impose, JobMaster, or Compose options, and it includes then a single license for those packages, either Windows or Macintosh. So those are part of the Fiery Impose, Fiery JobMaster, and Fiery Compose software options. Acrobat and InFocus PitStop are included.
So I know we have somebody who really wants to know about the limits of how many rows and columns can be repeated on a page. And because we're not 100% sure, I think we'll get back to you directly through email when we've had a chance to investigate that. We don't want to misrepresent here. So let's take maybe one last question, because we are past the hour mark, and I want to respect everybody's time. Again, if your question wasn't addressed, we will get back to you. It might take us a few days, but we do make that promise, and you'll hear from us. And certainly if you don't, feel free to ping us again. One last question?
I think, I don't know if this was answered already, but what is the version of Acrobat? Adobe Acrobat is included with the Fiery Impose, Compose, and JobMaster. So the version we're currently shipping is Adobe Acrobat 10, and we're actually refreshing that and cutting over to version 11 is a matter of, days and weeks, so hopefully, our customer can benefit from the newer version very soon.
All right. Well, thanks, as usual, to our wonderful speakers, Veronica, Ling, and Chris. To you, our audience, thanks for sticking with us. Hopefully you found a lot of this information helpful. We have a lot of how-to guides to guide you through. And we look forward to having you join us again October 22nd when we'll talk a little bit more about the automating part that Ling just barely started to touch on today. We'll have much more for you. So come back, enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll be in touch.